Hello there, this is Benny.
And this is Kyle.
And you're listening to The Doctor's Watcher,
the European religious history podcast about every episode of Doctor Who.
I mean, isn't that what everyone wants to see when they tune in? European religious history, all those wars between the Huguenots and the Catholics. And by the way, Kyle, that reminds me, I meant to say, between episodes, because we're recording this one right after we recorded the previous one, but between the episodes, I did look up the pronunciation, and the English pronunciation is indeed Huguenots, and the French pronunciation is at least something close to Huguenot. So I guess we were kind of right.
Kind of, okay.
But yeah.
So I guess the Doctor Who pronunciation is the French pronunciation in an English accent.
Seems like a very Doctor Who thing to do. No, cool. All right. As we start to prepare for our next episode, I did want to quickly mention that I've been watching the new Star Wars show as well, because last time we talked a bit about the new Star Trek show that just debuted, or the latest season of Lower Decks that had just come out. And the Star Wars show that I've been watching is Star Wars Ahsoka, and that's been quite good.
Nice.
I've been enjoying that quite a bit. I hope that by the time this comes out, it has remained good. We're coming up on some rather crucial moments in the serial, in the season that might determine what direction it goes overall. But so far I've been quite enjoying it. Folks online are like, oh, it's no Andor, but like not every show has to be Andor. It's been fun. It's been, I had a lot of good action. I like several characters. Looks great. The CG and costumes and makeup are all overall pretty good. Still looks a little weird when you paint a human green or orange because they're an alien. But what are you gonna do? It's Star Wars.
Yeah, it's true. I should check my email to verify this, but I'm pretty sure my Lego designing cousin designed a set based on Ahsoka, or like for Ahsoka.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I might check that out. It's been a while since I got a new Lego set, but we'll see what it was. That'll be good to at least get a look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Kyle, what do you got for us this week?
So this is the second episode of the serial that is either The Massacre or The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve.
Cool. By cool, I mean, this is a interesting premise for a serial. Not that we're fans of massacres.
This episode, of course, is called The Sea Beggar.
That is awesome. Because most beggars that I've heard of are, I would say, land beggars.
Aye, beggars of the land are quite common, especially in areas where there be urchins.
Yeah, you got urchins of the street, you got urchins of the farm, and I guess you have beggars of the sea.
Maybe urchins can't handle the salt water.
I'm pretty sure they can. But then you'd call those sea urchins and you'd be very confused. All right, so who directed or wrote or whatever, who is behind this episode?
This serial is written by Gianluca Rotti and Donald Tosh.
Heavily edited by Donald Tosh.
I guess since the whole serial is missing and... Oh, that was a spoiler.
Oh, no. So how'd you watch it?
This was another reconstruction.
Uh-huh. Should we go ahead and skip that question for the next few episodes? For the rest of the,
we can, if we remember to skip it next time we record.
All right. Or maybe I'll just be like, and you watched it because it was a reconstruction. And you watched the reconstruction.
Uh-huh. We are still in the era of no telesnaps as we shake our fists at producer John Wiles.
Yeah, John. Well, I'm sure he wasn't counting on people losing the episode, or, losing the recordings, but still. If you're going to fire your telesnap guy, maybe you should invest in a big VCR.
I will say, since we might not talk about how do you watch it for the rest of the serial, that there are a couple interviews available with the loose cannon reconstructions, and cool. I didn't watch them, and I probably won't because they're like 20 or 25 minutes each, and that's kind of long.
Oh, man. Who's got the time? Sorry, listeners. We're not that committed to this podcast.
When they interviewed Gene Marsh, that was like 7 minutes. I can do that.
Yeah, man, we got 7 minutes. We can spare 7 minutes.
So would you remind us of the Cliff Dangler?
The Cliff Dangler is that William Hartnell is double billed for this episode. Not only is he our beloved doctor, but he's also the villainous abbot.
So we start off with a couple of the Huguenots or Huguenots.
We can just call them Huguenots, I think. We can stick to the Doctor Who pronunciation.
Nicholas and Gaston are here. And they're talking about how they told Admiral de Coligny about what Anne the servant girl overheard, but the Admiral won't listen to a servant girl's story.
Oh, buddy, I think you should know the name of the serial is The Massacre.
Uh-huh. Nicholas thinks that there's probably nothing more they can do to convince the Admiral. They basically just need to, wait for the Catholics to make a move and, I guess then say, I told you so.
I feel like maybe there's I don't know. I mean, I don't really know the situation that well, but maybe you could at least try to warn people. Or,
yeah, you'd think.
I don't know. Just to get the word out,
Yeah. We cut back to the tavern where Stephen has returned to look for the doctor. Of course, he spent the night with Nicholas at Admiral de Coligny's house.
Yeah, he did. And he's wearing Nicholas's shirt.
Uh-huh. Yeah, his military-ish uniform is all kind of rumpled, and I don't know if capes have multiple buttons that can be fastened incorrectly, but that's probably happening.
Nice.
The bartender tells him that the friend he was waiting for has not been there last night or this morning, and that the tavern's closed, and if he needs help, he should go ask his Huguenot friends.
Why do the Huguenots hang out with this guy? Why do they hang out? Are there no Huguenot taverns in town?
Yeah, seriously.
Huguenot-friendly taverns?
This bartender is clearly not Huguenot-friendly himself, so...
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the closest tavern to Admiral de Coligny's house.
Yeah, the wine's cheap, it's warm.
Back at Admiral de Coligny's house, Nicholas is telling Gaston that probably things are fine. They probably drew the wrong conclusion from what Anne the servant girl said.
She heard them mention the name Vassie. And then, just before she ran away, she heard them say it would happen before the week was out. But what's the difference? Quite likely that the name Vassie had nothing to do with the massacre there. And the it was referring to something else entirely.
Yeah, bro,
Yeah, that seems kind of pretty willful denial to me.
They're talking about that fun birthday party that happened at Vassie, and it is the exciting party that they're planning here.
Uh-huh. You know, the Abbot of Amboise's birthday's coming up soon.
That's true.
And then the other guy's like, didn't his birthday 10 years ago line up with the massacre in Vassy? They get interrupted by Stephen arriving back at the Admiral's house. He has not found the doctor, of course. He wants Nicholas to take him back to Port San Marteen, where the doctor went, because Stephen doesn't remember the way. He's forgotten the instructions Nicholas gave him yesterday.
Yeah, he's had other things on his mind.
Nicholas agrees
he hasn't forgotten other things Nicholas gave him the other day. Hey, I might cut that one. I don't know.
Nicholas agrees to take him, but before they leave, they get interrupted by another visitor, the secretary of the Abbot of Amboise, Roger Colbert.
Oh, dang. I don't trust this guy.
Colbert has come to collect the servant girl, Anne Chaplet. I guess we learn her last name.
Okay.
He basically says that she was frightened by her own memories of Vassy, not by anything she overheard, because the people that she overheard weren't talking about the massacre when they mentioned Vassy.
Oh, of course not.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time not picturing Stephen Colbert when I hear about this guy.
Stephen Colbert's evil ancestor, Roger.
Yes. I mean, we know this show is all about ancestors and descendants, and they always look exactly like the person themselves, but, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Roger sees Anne, serving at the Admiral de Coligny's house, but Gaston is like,
Oh, no, you must be mistaken. That girl is called, Genevieve. And she's been working here ever since the Admiral came to Paris.
Roll above check. With disadvantage.
Gaston rolls, but it's one of those rolls where the DM just kind of like smiles quietly to themselves and like doesn't reveal whether they passed the check or not.
One of those, huh?
Colbert leaves. It's pretty clear in his body language that he didn't believe Gaston.
Mm-hmm.
Gaston watches out the window and he sees that Colbert is down there talking to the abbot himself. So Nicholas and Stephen, Stevelis.
Yep. Our ship so far, our kind of our main ship for this serial up to this point.
The Stevelis ship sails over to the window to take a look themselves. And, of course, Stephen sees somebody who looks exactly like the doctor.
You say, "Oh, doctor, hello, I've been looking for you." Wow, you're really getting into this whole period costume thing.
Gaston is basically like, what the fuck, that's your friend?
And how long have you been working for the Abbot of Amboise?
It's like, I don't know, bro. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah. Stephen basically insists that he doesn't work for the Abbot of Amboise, and if they insist that the person that they saw down there on the street was the abbot, then he must have been mistaken, and they were right, and that was the abbot and not his friend the doctor.
I'll just go down there and have a quick conversation with him, and if he calls me my boy, is super condescending, and or ends a sentence with then I'll know I've got a positive ID. But if none of those things happen, then I'll know it's just a unlikely coincidence and case of two people happening to look exactly the same.
He basically says, let's head over to Port San Marteen, because if they can find the apothecary and Preslan, they can actually meet the doctor themselves and, see that he's not the abbot.
Yes.
Gaston thinks this is a Catholic trap. Just a sec, Matilda's calling.
Oh, Matilda, our little co-host.
Kitty. I'm upstairs, Matilda.
Gaston thinks it's a Catholic trap, but Nicholas agrees to go.
Come, monsieur. And for your sake, I hope we find your friend.
That's not the first time Stephen's heard those words from Nicholas.
We cut over to... Hi, Kitty.
Aw, she came up to say hey.
You found me.
I like how Stephen's player is one of those D&D players who, if you know, they get focused on one task that their characters have to do, then like that's the thing that they're gonna do, and the GM's like, but you know, we got this stuff going on with the Admiral, the Abbot, this rumor, this girl, like you want to investigate any of these things? He's like, I gotta go to Port San Marteen.
Gotta get to the port. I said I would find the doctor. I'm gonna find the doctor.
Listen, man, I made a list. It's a checklist of subquests, and that's the top one, so that's the first one I'm doing.
This podcast is amazing. Amazing. The emissaries from the 7 planets will arrive as arranged, and we will tell them all about this podcast.
Tell your friends.
Write a review and leave it with a 5-star rating. We obey.
We cut over to a very fancy looking room where a couple of folks are discussing things. The Marshal thinks that the Abbot was a fool for going looking for the servant girl himself. All it did was arouse further suspicion.
This Marshal, I don't like him.
The other guy, Simon Duval, points out that it was because of the Abbot that they were able to hire Monsieur Bondeau, the assassin.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But Marshal Tavan doesn't trust the Abbot, so he tells Simon to keep a close eye on him and report back, and tell him that the Marshal will bring him word about the Sea Beggar later.
Ah, the Sea Beggar. The end. Oh, of course, yeah. The what is it? Fireworks and confetti.
Yep, the fireworks all start to go off as he mentions the Sea Beggar.
Very cool. I think it's been a little while since we had one of those.
Yeah, I guess Terry Nation and Dennis Spooner don't like actually using their episode titles in the episode much. Simon Duval leaves the room as Marshal Tavan sees that Admiral de Coligny showed up and overheard the thing about the Sea Beggar, which the Admiral takes to mean that the Marshal is interested in some situation that's going on with the Dutch.
The Sea Beggars, as you call them.
Buddy, I think you might have gotten the wrong impression there. Also, man, like, this on the Dutch, bro.
Yeah, seriously. They talk about how Tavan only hates the Dutch because they're Protestant and not Catholic.
Oh, well, that seems to be the prevailing school of thought around here.
Yeah, Marshal Tavan's like, dude, that's the only reason that you like the Dutch.
Oh, boy.
But apparently the council is looking into the Dutch request for French aid. The Marshal asks de Coligny if he's heard anything from the English recently, because he heard that de Coligny had an Englishman stay with him last night, and the Admiral's basically like, yeah, I guess some stranger stayed over, I guess he was English, but fuck off with all this conspiracy theory bullshit. Mm-hmm. Tavon's basically just like, whatever, and leaves.
Forgive me, I have an audience with the Queen Mother. Don't let me detain you.
Oh, wow, all right. Humble brag much?
Seriously.
Just had to drop that into the conversation.
A little bit of a name drop.
Casually mention it.
Over in Port San Marteen, Stevelis finds what seems to be Preslan's apothecary shop, but it's closed. They start questioning a woman on the street who says that Preslan got arrested for heresy about 2 years ago and probably got burned.
Oh, dang. But then who did the doctor meet the other day? Dun, dun, dun.
Nicholas is like, dude, you say your friend is with Preslan, but Preslan's probably dead. I think your friend is the Abbot of Amboise.
Stephen's like, man, this whole time he never told me.
Stephen's just like, maybe he's pretending to be. I don't know.
It wouldn't be the first time. The doctor pretended to be that, like, expert on the film set that one time. I feel like he's pretended to be people that he's not before, too. Yeah, in France.
In French Revolution times. Yeah. And they're back in France.
It's true. Old habits.
Stephen wants to go meet and talk to the abbot and, like, figure shit out. But Nicholas is like, go get further instructions from the abbot? Fuck no, you're coming with me. And
all right, Nicholas, not trusting your boy here.
He basically grabs Stephen's arm and starts taking him back the way they came.
A little rough there, but I don't know, maybe Stephen's into it.
Yeah, Stephen looks like he's into it for a moment, but then he kind of remembers his focused quest of finding the doctor.
Yeah, he's pretty intent on that.
Yeah. He invokes his person of action trait to gain advantage on a roll, and he breaks out of Nicholas's grasp and runs away.
Well, you gotta play hard to get sometimes.
We cut to Roger Colbert over at the abbot's apartments. He's waiting to meet with the abbot, but apparently he's been waiting for like more than half an hour. He's getting pretty annoyed by that.
Power move from the abbot.
He and Simon Duval are having a conversation about the abbot, which establishes that Colbert met the abbot for the first time yesterday, but he had seen him once before at some meeting the cardinal had.
So he knows what he looks like.
Right.
But would he recognize... He doesn't know him so well that if he were to suddenly act a little different, he would have such a vast, experience with the abbot to compare it to notice the difference.
They also talk about who Colbert saw Nicholas with this morning. And, of course, that includes a man that Colbert doesn't know or recognize, but who we know is Stephen. Mm-hmm. Duval assigns Colbert to find out about this man and, like, what his business in France is.
Cool, yeah.
Back at Admiral de Coligny's house, Nicholas is questioning Anne about Stephen. Anne Chapelet, the servant girl.
Yeah, I'm not sure she knows a whole lot, but okay. Other than, like, maybe, his social security number, his driver's license number.
Right.
In the last episode, we were speculating that she'd stolen his wallet.
For some reason, he has this money that has, like, a date from the future printed on it.
Yeah, weird.
She basically says that she had never seen him before the other day when she bumped into him on her way into the tavern, and that at first she thought he was one of the guards, but she knows that he's not because he's kind and gentle.
Okay, so she likes him, so maybe if the opportunity should arise for her to go on a journey in a magic time-traveling spaceship, she would feel safe to accompany him?
Yeah, that does seem to be a thing they could be setting up here. Gaston arrives, and Nicholas informs him that Stephen has escaped and that he must have been sent by the Catholics, but Anne jumps to his defense.
Forgive me, monsieur, but, well, I'm sure he's a stranger here. He knows nothing about anything or what's going on in Paris. Why, he don't even know about the royal wedding.
He's completely ignorant. He knows absolutely nothing. I find it completely baffling how somebody could know so little about what's going on. And somewhere out there, Stephen's just like, why do I feel like I'm being disrespected somewhere?
I asked him where the sky was, and he pointed down.
What an idiot. What a buffoon.
Gaston basically just orders her out of the room and tells Nicholas that he's too kind to these, quote, nothings.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, apparently Gaston's a real asshole.
Check your privilege, bro.
And Nicholas tells Gaston about how Stephen escaped from him, and we cut over to Stephen, who has made his way to the Abbot of Amboise's house. So he's sneaking around the house. He has to hide from the guards a few times, all while this nice, like, cymbal-heavy, sneaky music soundtrack plays.
Cool.
He can't find any sign of the abbot himself, but he does find a nice place to eavesdrop on Roger Colbert and Marshal Tavannes.
Nice. See, this is why you gotta make sure that your stealth and perception scores are both nice and high.
Yeah, totally.
You can get all the good backstory.
They're talking about how apparently nobody knows where the abbot is. I don't know how you lose an abbot, but apparently they did.
Yeah.
Tavannes orders Colbert to find him and tell him that the decision has been made and the Sea Beggar will die tomorrow.
He will attend an early council meeting at the Louvre. On his return, Bondo will be waiting for him.
Oh, so the Sea Beggar's a person. For some reason I assumed it was a ship. I mean, I feel like nobody would name their ship the Sea Beggar on purpose. So I guess it makes sense that it's an alias that these guys are using, a code name.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was cool that they're using a code name here. That's fun. Good operational security.
Yes.
After Tavannes leaves, Simon Duval, who is also there, tells Colbert that order about the Sea Beggar came from the Queen Mother, not just from Marshal Tavannes.
Oh, shit. Better do it then.
So, the royal command has been given.
Dang.
And at this, Stephen jumps down from his eavesdropping spot next to the window and runs away.
Okay, for a second I thought he was going to jump into the room, and I was like, bro, that's not how you eavesdrop.
No,
yeah.
He's smarter than that this time.
Yeah, he's heard enough. It's time for action.
He shows up at Admiral de Coligny's house looking for Nicholas, but Nicholas isn't there. He starts looking through Nicholas's desk, looking for paper to leave a note, when Gaston shows up.
I love the guy who's already the most suspicious of him is now seeing him like rifling through the desk.
Yeah. And, obviously Gaston assumes that Stephen is spying.
Yeah.
He asks Stephen, what information he's looking for. He won't listen to anything Stephen says in response. He just tells him to get out. Mm-hmm. He actually draws his sword on Stephen.
Oh, we get an actual drawn sword this time.
Stephen draws his sword to defend himself.
Nice.
But Stephen won't attack. He will only defend himself.
An honorable man.
And yeah, before long, Gaston disarms him and just orders him to leave, which Stephen does.
So does that mean that we get an actual sword fight here? Or is it just like a quick little one move and then his sword is gone?
He had to defend himself a few times.
Okay.
So
thrilling.
Yeah.
I assume probably just based on the audio, right?
Stephen leaves, and then Nicholas shows up like a few moments later. You know, too bad he couldn't have shown up a few moments earlier.
Of course.
And Gaston tells him about how he spared that English wretch's life, even though he was spying and going through Nicholas's papers. But Nicholas is just like, dude, he only would have come back here if he had important information for us. What did he say?
And Gaston's like, well, I didn't really give him much of an opportunity to say anything.
Yeah, Nicholas basically learns that Gaston didn't get the message, and he kicks Gaston out of his rooms.
Okay.
We cut to Stephen down on the streets. He's not sure where to go. Curfew is approaching, and, you know, warn the Huguenots about the plot to assassinate the Sea Beggar has superseded Find the Doctor as his main quest.
Wow.
So he's trying to figure out what to do. He's being followed by Anne Chaplet, and his passive perception allows him to detect this.
Cool.
So he confronts her, and it turns out she was following him because she doesn't want to go back to the Admiral's house because the Catholics know that she was there. And Stephen was the first person who was ever kind to her. So basically, that's why she's following him, in the hopes that like he'll help or whatever.
There's a specific kind of conversation that takes place between PCs when their players know that they have to form a party, and it's always like, yeah, we know that where this is going. Just looking for reasons for these characters to get together and go adventuring. So it's like, yeah, you're the only person who's ever been nice to me ever.
That's,
I think about it, that's kind of sad.
Plausible, right? Actually, it is plausible, which is sad.
Yeah.
He reveals to her that he also doesn't have a place to stay, which, you know, is not that much help for her in the moment, but
yeah,
they do join forces. They decide to team up. Stephen has an idea about maybe somewhere they can stay, and he asks her to take him to, say it with me, Port San Marteen.
I was also trying to think of a different place, because I was like, well, he's already tried. No, all right, yes. Sorry, I missed it. Port San Marteen. There, editor, move that back to it. Sounds like I said it with Kyle.
Port San Marteen. Nice. Late that night.
I always want to say Point Saint Martin. It's port, right?
Port, yeah. And, you know, it's spelled Saint, but of course it's French, so it's more like San. In
Point, you know, Saint Martin. Port San Martin.
My beautiful, flawless French accent.
Yes.
Port San Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So late that night, Admiral de Coligny finds Nicholas up late, still working.
Missing Stephen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's hard for him to get comfortable in his bed.
Yeah, just kind of listlessly going about his tasks.
Mm-hmm.
They bring him no joy now.
can't sleep, might as well do paperwork.
Yeah.
The Admiral tells Nicholas that he's just been meeting with the king, and
Nice. More of those humble brags.
he thinks he might have convinced the king to go to war with Spain.
Oh shit, okay. That's just a thing you do.
You know, Nicholas, after I'd explained the situation to him, he turned to me and he said, if we do ally ourselves with the Dutch, you, de Coligny, will go down to history as the Sea Beggar. The Sea Beggar. It's a title I'd be proud of.
Good luck with that, bro.
And with that, the words next episode, Priest of Death, appear on screen.
Oh shit. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna have a War of God, then you probably should also have a Priest of Death.
Oh, for sure. And the War of God supplement definitely in the back where you have the stats for the various enemies. There's at least one Priest of Death. Alrighty.
And, you know, there's rumors that in some later expansions, the Priest of Death will become a playable subclass.
Oh, interesting. Well, we'll see if Steven multi-classes. Cool. And yeah, man, in this serial, they're really going through their fireworks and confetti budget, because they were dropping even more references to the Sea Beggar at the end there.
Yeah, he said the Sea Beggar like twice in a row.
Oh man,
I'm gonna have to like add another track when I'm editing this file to drop in layered fireworks.
Wow. Well, cool. Well, in this episode, we actually had drawn swords. A little bit of a sword fight, so a little more action-packed than last time. Very historical. Possibly too historical. But at least we're heading into a massacre, so... Again, we are not pro-massacre. We are staunchly anti-massacre, but in terms of historical events that already happened and therefore we cannot change, it at least makes for, I suppose, a compelling premise for a
that's
serial.
true. Prizlan is the only historical character from this that I have Googled so far, and like I said, I'm pretty sure he's fictional, but I do believe the massacre being referenced is a historical event that actually happened.
Yes, it is in fact mentioned on that Wikipedia page where I looked up the pronunciation of Huguenot or Huguenot. So it was a significant event in the history of those people.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised if Admiral de Coligny is a real person.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously the king
Possibly
and
Abbot and
Queen Mother and Abbot and whatnot.
Yeah, I would at least put money on the king and the Queen Mother. There was probably a king who had a mother.
Yeah, that does seem likely that it would have happened at some point in French history.
All right, well, cool. What other notes did you have for us, Kyle?
I think that was all I had.
Alrighty, in that case, allow us to thank Circuit23 for the theme music that he made for us. You can find his album on Bandcamp or his music on SoundCloud. There will be links in the show notes. And thank you, Kyle, for watching Doctor Who and telling me all about it.
And thank you, Benny, for listening to me talk all about Doctor Who.
And thank you, listeners, for listening to me listen to Kyle talk about Doctor Who. We'd love to hear from you. You can always email us at thedoctorswatcher@gmail.com. Tell us, how do you pronounce it? Do you say Huguenot or Huguenot? Or some secret third option?
Ugueno.
There you go. Put it on a poll, and I'm sure someone will pick it.
Cool.
Well, give us a 5-star review wherever you review your podcasts, and tell a friend, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
Your story is thinner than before. You see, the doctor is with Presler, who is by all accounts dead.
She only said he might be.
And what about the doctor?
I don't know.
I think I do. Your friend is the Abbot of Amboise.
No. At least that's how it can be. Unless what? It is just possible that the doctor is pretending to be the abbot.
For what reason?
Where can I find the abbot?
So that you can get further instructions.
Nicholas, please believe me. I know nothing about Vassy or the Catholics or half of what you talk about. If the doctor is pretending to be the abbot, then it's for a very good reason. Please let me go to him. Should I find out that there is a plot of some kind, I'll come back and tell you.